Hello learners, I'm Mr. Saul, and today we're going to continue talking about light. We're going to take a closer look at refracted light. Now, when we say refracted light, we can easily just think of bending light. Actually, the light is bending as it passes through things. And all these different things that the light will pass through are what we call medium, or media if there's more than one. And the reason we use words like medium instead of saying things is because we're scientists, and other scientists need to know exactly what we're talking about. So I won't just say there's a lot of clear things, I'll say there's some refractive media, okay? So let's take a look at some of the things that actually cause refraction. If you remember, refraction is that bended light. Light that has been bent as it's passing through something, and people have figured out lots of different uses of bending light. For example, a magnifying glass. This is a tool that we use to observe things and look more closely at them, and it helps because as the light passes through the lens of the magnifying glass, it will spread out, and that gives us that larger image that we're looking at. So for example, right now my eye seems normal size, but if I hold my magnifying glass up to it, I can make my eye look much larger to the camera through that refraction. I'm bending the light as it passes through the lens, and that's making my eye look much larger, or my mouth. Ah. Okay, so let's pop over to the light lab and take a look at some of these things that cause refraction up close. Friends, we're back at the light lab, and here is my tank of water, and I'm just going to use a mirror to say hi to you guys. Where are you? Hey everyone. Alright, so this time in the light lab, what we're going to do is we're going to be using some lasers and flashlights in here to look at refraction. So let's have a look. One of the things I have is my glass ball here. This is really excellent for seeing refraction. You can even see how it's already beginning to refract the image of my finger. So let's go ahead and place this in the light tank right up against the glass so you can see it. There we go. We'll put it right here. So now I'm going to turn off the light so we can get a really clear image, and I'm going to use my laser beam to see when we can see the bending of that light. So here's my laser shooting out, and I'm going to send it into the glass ball, and you can see it's going in one end and out the other. Now I want you to watch very carefully and raise your hand when you see the light start to bend. Here we go. When is the light going to bend? So right at the edge of the ball, just as it's about to leave, we see the light from the laser starting to bend. And as you know, light will always travel in a straight line unless something is there for it to bounce off of or for it to pass through and then bend. So as you can see, I'm getting some refraction as the laser is bending through this glass ball. Let's have a look at some other examples. Here I have, let me turn the light back on. Here I have my crystal sun catcher. This is something that's made to catch the sunlight and cast rainbows and just sort of sparkle in the sunlight. So let's see what this does. I'm going to put it into the water, turn off the light, and then I'm going to hit it with my laser. And as it spins, we can see how it's definitely bending that light in lots of different directions as the light passes through. So not only is it reflecting off of this thing, but the light is able to really bend as it passes through. It's being refracted. All right, this next example, let me move my ball here. This next example, we're going to use two lasers that are parallel to each other, just like this, right? So two laser beams, but then when I take my magnifying lens and shine them in between, now we see that those two lasers are sort of going to the same spot. So this is what I would be looking at if I was a scientist. If I wanted to look up close at something, I would use my magnifying glass and put it in between, and now those two lasers, it's going to bend that light into the same position so I can get a closer look at whatever it is I want to look at. So this is a really great example without the magnifying glass. Then I put the magnifying glass in, and now it's bending and focusing that light so I can have a much closer look at something. Okay, next thing I wanted to show you guys is the regular light in the glass ball here. Whoa, actually that looks pretty cool. So here we see how the light is being refracted and it's warping that image of my hand. You can see it bending, the light bending as my hand passes behind the glass ball. That's pretty cool. I wasn't even expecting that. Okay, so if I use my regular flashlight, and this, now remember the water is just here because it shows us a very clear image of that light traveling in a straight line out from its source. So if I shine it into my ball, I can see the light passing straight through and coming out the other side. But if I move it up, I can see how that light is starting to bend right as it leaves the ball. Okay, so if it's not in the ball, and then right here we see that light bending as it goes through the ball. And there it is behind, shining right at the camera. Pretty cool. All right, one last thing I want to show you guys is my laser. So here I have my laser, and it's going to shine down into the water and into my ball. But look at the angle that I'm holding my laser at. Does it look like the angle is correct as it goes into the water? Watch it when I dip the laser into the water. Notice how the angle changes from in the water to out of the water. This is that bending of the light that we see in refraction. So what's happening here is it's much more difficult for the laser, for the light to travel through the water because it's so much thicker. It slows down. So that's why the angle changes, because it's got to travel slower. But when I put the whole laser in, now the whole thing is traveling that slowly, so it looks like a straight line. As I take it out, that angle will change. It's being bent by the light, or by the water. So where else have you seen light being refracted? Take a moment to look around your house and see if you can see any examples, or if you could think of any experiments you could do that would show how light bends as it passes through different media. I hope you guys learned a lot about light today, and I will check back in with you guys next time.